Okay, welcome everybody. Um, revision class tonight. I'm going to do some revision, give you some pointers about your forthcoming test. You are writing your first test next week, Wednesday, in Auditorium South on main campus. The test will also be sent to all the regional centers. So if you're not resident in Windhoek, you can write there. I'm sorry that it had to be in the week. I normally try to set tests over the weekend, but our venues are so full that I couldn't actually get a venue that's big enough. And also, then you end up writing, because of the shortage. Sorry, I don't know, something odd happened here now. Just give me a second. Okay, my laptop just glitched. Because there are actually very few weekends that are available because we've got so many public holidays. So the tests are so crammed that often students end up writing 2 or 3 tests on the same day. Whereas if it's in during the week, it's likely that it's the only test that you are writing. So the class officially starts at 5:15. We'll start writing at 5:30. Please, please, please try your best not to be late. You don't need to bring your own, those of you that are first year students, don't need to bring paper or anything. I provide you with paper. All you need is a pen. Bring a spare pen. Very often you start writing and then midway through your test, your pen runs out. So always bring a spare pen. Otherwise, the test is, yes, Apollonia?
Ma'am, I was just going to ask if there are other test dates, like where we can write a makeup test, because on Wednesday I'll be working late shift and I don't know if I can make it. I mean, I'll try to ask for permission, but highly will I doubt. I doubt I'll get that date free. So I was just going to ask if there are any makeup dates for those that didn't write the test on Wednesday.
There is, if you look at your course outline, there is a test 3 scheduled. So for the purpose of qualifying for the exam, you need to write 2 tests. But there is a makeup test scheduled. And later in the semester. If you cannot write on Wednesday, you don't need to make an excuse or send me a doctor's note or anything. Anybody, if can't write on Wednesday, I would of course prefer it if you did try to write on Wednesday. But if you absolutely can't, you can write the makeup test. No questions asked.
All right.
So yes, there is an additional opportunity for you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Benjamin, your hand is also up.
Yes, ma'am. Evening, ma'am. How are
Evening.
you?
I'm good.
I'm good as well. It's just the southern campus you are talking about. We are now used to upper and lower. So which one are you referring to, ma'am?
Sorry, I didn't catch your question.
The question is asking, you stated that the test is going to be held at South Conference.
Auditorium South.
No, but with us, here we are used to upper and lower. So which one are you referring to? Okay, we don't know places yet here.
Okay. Auditorium South is on lower campus.
Oh, lower campus.
It is on lower campus in the science in the Science and Technology building.
Oh, it's engineering basement.
No, it's not in the basement. The Science and
Mm-hmm.
Technology building is just across from the engineering basement.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you know where the engineering basement is, then you go to the basement, but instead of going into the basement, there's a building on the other, there's this open area, this walkway. So straight across,
Mm-hmm.
there's another building, which is the Science and
Oh,
Technology building. And the
oh, okay.
auditoria, yeah, the auditoria are on the ground floor. So as you go in there are two
Mm-hmm.
auditoria next to each other, north and south.
Okay,
North
man.
is the first one as you come in. South is the second one, but they're next to each
Oh,
other. But
okay.
if you know where the basement is, then you will find where the test is because it's literally next door.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks,
but
man.
thank you.
May I
Yeah,
quick say something?
yes.
Benjamin, it's where we take BMI classes. That same room. Where
Oh,
there's
okay.
the other next, the one on the left and the one on the right, and we go in the one that's on the right.
Oh, so that's where the test is going to be had.
Yes,
Exactly.
Okay.
absolutely.
Hey, okay.
Okay,
Right.
wonderful. But thank you for asking, Benjamin, because I'm sure
Okay, thanks.
there might have been other students that were also a bit confused. And
Yes.
now I've managed to clarify it for everybody. Apollonia, thank
Yes.
you for indicating that you actually have BMI in that venue. Okay, so let's look at the test. I've shared the screen. Just give me a thumbs up if you can share the screen. It's the same document that I've been using all along. After tonight's class, I will neaten it up and put it in PDF format and share it on the group as well. So let's look at the test. Test 1 of 2025. So the test covers units 1 to 9. Units 1 to 9. So everything about general principles of the law of contract, as well as perfect purchase and sale. We did not do unit 1, so you do not have to, please don't waste your time studying unit 1. The document that I shared today on the group, some students complained that they were unable to open it, unfortunately. It is just a PowerPoint. I was going through some old stuff and I came across it. It's a PowerPoint slideshow, a pre-recorded. It actually dates back to 2020 during COVID time when everything was online, and we had to make pre-recorded lectures for our students. It wasn't for Introduction to Law for Accountants. Can't remember for what subject it is. It was at the time, I think it was for sports law or something. But of course, the principles of contract and breach of contract. It's a slide to show about breach of contract specifically. And whether you're accounting students or sports law students, the concept of breach of contract is exactly the same. So I looked through it and it's relevant to you. It covers the work that we did. So I will upload it on e-learning. I haven't yet, but I'll upload it on e-learning as well. It's pretty much the same as I said, taught during my lecture, but illustrated with some slides and whatever. So you're welcome to go through that and to use that for your preparation as well. Remember, please, that your main document, study material, remains the notes, not the lecture notes that I make while I teach, but the actual comprehensive notes that are on e-learning, you need to have studied those. My class notes, the slideshow, whatever, is not enough. Okay, so question one, going to give you the layout of the test, is multiple choice. Ten questions for 2 marks each. That gives you 20 marks. I must just quickly interrupt myself. It was actually quite problematic for me setting this test, in the sense that while I was teaching, I gave you so many potential questions and said, I'm going to ask this, I'm going to ask this, I'm going to ask this. And at the end of the day, I only had 50, could only ask 50 marks. So there was a lot more that I wanted to ask that I ended up not asking, that I have to save for your exam. So there's 20 multiple. I'm going to get back to these questions. Question 2, knowledge-based short questions for 10 marks. Just quickly want to check what I'm doing here. Question 3 is structured application. Five times 2 is 10 marks. And then question 4 is a case study. It's a case study with 2 sub-questions. Just want to check quickly what the mark allocation is there, 6 plus 4. It's 10 marks, that gives you a total of 50 marks. So let's look at this. The multiple choice questions, they come out of all the units. There's a variety of multiple choice questions. What I will do for you in the course of perhaps Friday, when it's public holiday, when I'm not celebrating independence, I'll set aside a little bit of time. And on e-learning, you have all been enrolled for e-learning. I will set up a practice multiple choice quiz where I will then give you unlimited attempts, a variety of multiple choice questions coming from the units that are in the test, so that you can do that. I urge you to set aside a little bit of time and go through these questions. I have an extensive question bank. So every time you can go through the quiz a number of times, you'll get different questions every time. Just to acquaint yourself with the manner in which I set my multiple choice questions. They are quite often quite complex. They are not straightforward. Multiple choice doesn't mean monkey puzzle, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You can actually test a student's knowledge and insight by way of multiple choice questions. Now, how do you do multiple choice? You start off by reading the question. Reading the question and all the options very carefully. Once you've done that, then you read the question again. Make sure you understand the question. Sometimes I'll give you a statement and say the following, or which one is not true. Or sometimes it's which one is true. Read carefully. Will be very sad if you read true and I'm actually asking for not true. Make sure you've grasped the question. Then you go through your options. There are 4 options for each. And by way of process of elimination, you rule out the one that is obviously not the correct answer. Scratch it out. Then you go through all the options again and choose the next one and scratch it out so that you've got 2 left. Then you read them carefully. Sometimes there's just one word that is different in the possible answers, but one word can make a big difference. Don't speed read. Often we speed read. We read the first word of a sentence, the middle word, and the last word, and we think we know what we've read. You can speed read like that, but not in a multiple choice question. Read every word sometimes and compare the answers. Sometimes the wording just differs slightly. That's why I'm going to give you a practice quiz so that you can be exposed to how I set my multiple choice questions. Take your time, don't rush. So when you do multiple choice, you never read the options and choose the correct answer and write A immediately. Because then you're guessing, then you're probably incorrect. Compare your four answers very carefully to choose the correct one. Question 2, straightforward, knowledge-based short questions. There's nothing tricky in them, nothing at all. Based on the notes, based on the work that we did, if you've studied, you'll be able to answer them. Structured application. I told you you're going to get structured application. Told you on various occasions, explain to you what structured application means. Let's go here. Let's just scroll up. Just to find an example. There's an example that we did when we did in class. When I warned you, you're going to be getting this type of question. This one is ask for a valid contract of purchase and sale. There's a variety of possibilities. It can be indicate whether there's a valid contract, indicate whether there's a valid offer, indicate whether there was consensus, whatever. But in each instance, you need to say yes or no and give me a motivation. Remember, I'm going to just use this. First of all, is there a valid contract of purchase and sale? You say yes or no. Be careful. Don't write valid or void. The reason being that a contract can be valid, but it's not purchase and sale. And then if you've written void, instead of just no or not purchase and sale or whatever, but if you've written void, but the contract is actually valid, it's just not purchase and sale, your answer is incorrect. So to avoid that possibility, stick to yes or no. And then, how do you know? How do you know? How do you, just using this example, how will you set about figuring out whether this is a valid contract of purchase and sale or not. Firstly, you will look, is it a valid contract? That example we had there was not a valid contract of purchase and sale because it's not a valid contract. So first of all, you're going to check, is it a valid contract? Compare with the 5 requirements. Not going to copy and paste them now, but you need to know those 5 requirements. And then secondly, you look, is it purchase and sale? How do you know whether it's purchase and sale? You're going to be looking for those things. Was there an agreement to buy or sell? Did they agree on the thing? And did they agree on the purchase price? So if it's a valid contract and it meets those 3 requirements, it is a contract of purchase. And then you answer yes or no. And you give me a motivation. A motivation refers to the legal principle. It is not repeating the facts. You just repeat the facts, you're not going to get that mark. Let's take this one again. In this instance, your answer is no. But if you write no, A is only 16 years old, you are not going to get maximum marks. Why is it relevant that A is only 16 years old? You need to show me that you understand the law. So A is only 16 years old. That is an incorrect, that is not a proper motivation. What I'm looking for is A, no. A does not have contractual capacity. Or A is underage, or A is still a minor, whatever. But refer to the law. Don't repeat the facts. So what you've got, I told you were going to be getting this. I stuck to my word. Don't lie to students. Knowledge, I've done that. Structured application. Just give me a second. I just want to grab something to drink quickly. Okay, I'm back. So I just had a scratchiness in my throat. Okay, are there any questions so far about structured application or anything else? No questions. Okay, and then question 4 is a case study. Students often get worried if I tell them they're going to get a case study, because they believe I'm trying to turn them or expecting of them to be lawyers. That is not the case. At this level, after 6 weeks of classes, the case studies are really not very, very complex. In fact, we call it a case study, but it is really just a fancy way of testing your knowledge. I do not at this stage in your studies expect of you to solve complex legal concept problems. Next semester, when you do company law, we're going to up this a bit. In company law, you're actually going to be having to apply your knowledge to case studies. First test, introduction to law for accountants. It's not really honestly application of knowledge. But I want to quickly just exit this, stop sharing this document. I'm going to share, just want to find it quickly. I have a short, very short slideshow that I prepared some time ago. Got to find it. There you are. Okay, I'm going to share this quickly. Okay, just give me a thumbs up. Can you see the slide? Okay. I will share these slides on the group as well, or on e-learning. How to approach a case study or problem type question. So a case study consists of a very short paragraph. I keep them short, with a sob story telling you that this and this and this and this and this happened. Now, how do you start? What is the first thing you do? Step 1, you read the question. Like I said in multiple choice, you read carefully. Read the sob story. Step 2, you read it again to make sure that you have read it properly and that you understand it and that you can identify the essential facts, what is happening here. I try to keep my sob stories as short as possible. In most instances, all the information that I put in there is relevant. So I don't pad it out with irrelevant details. Whatever I've put in there is relevant. You know, identify, I said, you haven't started writing yet. This is all in your head or on your test paper or on scrap paper or whatever. This is preparation. You haven't started writing yet. Now, based on these facts and your understanding of this case study. You decide, what is this about? You identify the legal concept applicable. I promise you that at this stage of your studies of law, I will not combine different legal concepts. That's going to happen when you're doing company law. But at this stage, it will be about one thing that you studied. I won't combine different legal aspects in one question. So you figure out what it's all about. This is where you start writing. You start your answer by telling me what this is about. Then you explain it to me. Give me the definition. Explain misrepresentation, or explain duress, or explain the passing of the risk rule, or whatever you've decided this question is about. Define and explain. This is in your study guide. You have studied this. This is knowledge-based. Only then, after you've given me the facts, the legal principles, the explanation, the knowledge-based information, will you apply it to the facts and tell me this is how it works, this is the outcome. And then if you are required to, you will advise whoever you've been told to advise and tell them, okay, it's a breach of contract. These are your possible remedies. You can claim specific performance and damages, whatever. So, and then if you've done all of that, you've got 10 out of 10. That's the standard approach at this stage to case study questions. But read your question carefully. Sometimes I make it easier for you. And I don't ask you to advise. If I can, for example, say, base it on the guarantee against eviction, and ask you, what must Johnny do? And then it's those three things. Try to keep it in his custody, inform, put up a strong defense. Or what must he prove? Latent defect. How do you prove a latent defect? So if I've just asked you a certain thing, you don't have to make it too complex. You don't have to go further. If I've asked what can she prove or whatever, then of course I want that. Read your question carefully. If the question consists of sub-questions, as is the case, I'm going to go back to my original document that I shared. If the question consists of sub-questions, before you start answering, read all the sub-questions. So you read the case study and the separate questions. And in each question, so for 4.1, answer only what I asked in 4.1. And in 4.2, answer only what I asked in 4.2. So in 4.1, you don't set out to write absolutely everything that you can think of. Because then you get to 4.2, and I've already written it, or you've already written it, and then you think, but I've already written it, so it must be something different, and then you start writing absolute nonsense. Questions about this? No questions. Okay, then that's all I have to say to you about the test itself. Apollonia?
Yes, ma'am, perhaps one last question. May you please just repeat for me or for us again the units? So unit 1 is not included. So meaning we go from unit 2 till which unit exactly?
Up
Till
to the,
lease agreements?
no, we haven't done lease agreements yet. So we go, it's
Purchase and sale.
up to the end of unit 9. So it's
Okay.
contracts and purchase and sale. We didn't have,
All right.
we haven't, yeah, we didn't do lease agreements. So why would I include them in the test?
Right. I just thought of it as well. We ended with purchase and sale, right?
Yes.
Okay,
You're a little bit in a rush. Okay,
exactly.
so
Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay, so the last thing I want to just, I've spoken about the test now. Just by way of a little bit of repetition, because students, I've noticed in all the years of teaching, I didn't complete this. I'm just going to copy and paste it here. Students have a tendency to mix up these duties. We did 4 duties of the seller: the duty to deliver the thing, the duty to guarantee, more than 4. Yeah, duty to guarantee against eviction, custody, which goes together with the passing of the risk rule, and the duty to guarantee against latent defects. So those are the 4 duties of the seller. They are separate duties. Do not muddle them up. The passing of the risk rule, the duty to keep the thing in safe custody, is one rule, one duty. The duty to guarantee against latent defects is a separate duty. It's specifically these two that students tend to muddle up together, and then they end up just writing nonsense. The duty to keep the thing in safe custody. This is a duty that arises after contracting. Let's write it like this. Relates to if the thing gets damaged after contracting, but before delivery. The duty to guarantee against latent defects. A latent defect is a defect that existed at the time of contracting. But what I often get, and it's very, very frustrating actually, let's say the case study was about Marilyn sold a motorbike to Mitchell. But before it was delivered, there was a rainstorm and the paintwork got damaged. So it was damaged after contracting, before delivery. And then you'll start off with saying that he had to keep it in safe custody. Marilyn had to keep it in safe custody. But Mitchell can claim, I'm going to write this down so that you can see what utter nonsense this is. Marilyn had to keep the bike in safe custody. Mitchell can, sorry, typo, can claim damages for the latent defect. Can you see that that is utter knowledge, utter rubbish? This is rubbish. And unfortunately, if I get sentences like that, it shows me that you do not understand these rules. So I'm not going to give you that mark then for keep it in safe custody, because it shows me you don't actually know what keeping it in safe custody means. If in the same sentence you can say claim for a latent defect, or if the question was about a latent defect, I'm not going to give you that mark because the latent defect has got nothing to do with it keeping it in safe custody. So unfortunately, much as I have told you and tried to comfort you and say these questions are not complicated, when you start mixing up the things, it shows me that you do not have the necessary basic understanding of these concepts. I do not, this is important, I do not mark on key words. I do not have a memorandum that has got certain keywords, and if I see them in your answer, I give you a tick with a red pen. I mark for context. I read through your whole answer. Just having some correct words in there. Every so often, after students have written a test, then they come crying to me and say, Miss, I don't know how. I studied so hard, but I don't know how to answer your questions. It's not about knowing how to answer my questions. It's about studying. If you're confusing the different concepts, it's not because you didn't know how to answer my questions. It's because you didn't study and don't understand the work. Questions about that? That was me shouting at you now. Any questions? Apollonia, you're laughing at me. Are you comfortable and confident?
I have to make sure that I'm comfortable and confident when I can write.
I'm sure you will be. Okay, that's
Thank
all
you.
that is all I have to say to you this evening. George, your hand is up. Do you have questions?
I'm just wondering here, ma'am, if this answer that you wrote here is a rubbish, which one is the correct one? Then I don't understand, because it's like it's Chinese. I don't get it at all. And
Okay, George. From just that sentence, it's impossible to say which one is the correct one because you don't have the facts in front of you. Let's elaborate.
Please.
So the question was,
Mm-hmm.
the question was, for example, Marilyn sold a bike to Mitchell, but it parked outside. Collect the paintwork was damaged by the rain. So that's, if that is the question, that's the sob story. Those are the facts. So tell me, based on those facts, what, George, what is the correct answer? What does this refer to?
Marlene sold the bike to Mitchell but left it parked outside. Before Mitchell could collect the bike, the paint work was damaged by the rain. Okay, so now what is the question now? If that's
So
the statement, the
no,
question.
the question now is, what is Mitchell's remedies? What can Mitchell do? What is the legal position here? What is the legal concept? Which duty does this refer to make it, simplify it? Those are your duties. Which
Um,
duty does
okay,
this?
may you please scroll up so I see the duties because I can't see all of them.
Mitchell bought the bike. He bought the bike on Monday. They arranged he would fetch it on Friday. On Wednesday, there's a rainstorm, and because the bike was outside, it got damaged.
Uh-huh.
Which of those duties does it refer to?
I think the duty to keep the thing in safe custody.
Absolutely, 100%. She had to
Uh-huh.
keep it safe, but she left it parked outside and it got damaged.
Yeah.
But in this sentence, this rubbish sentence, she had to keep the bike in safe custody. He can claim damages for a latent defect. No, he
Yeah.
can't. There wasn't a latent defect. She didn't keep it in safe custody, therefore he can claim damages. But he can't claim damages for a latent defect because there wasn't a latent defect.
Oh, so that's the rubbish. Okay. Yeah.
That is why it's rubbish. Do you understand? Are you with me now?
Oh, the way I'm with you, and if you only knew. Oh, we are working together this time around.
Okay, great. Now um, let's say the question was, hold a bike to Mitchell after he collected it. He realized that the brakes do not work. Okay, George, I'm still with you here. Which duty are we referring to now? Come, work with me.
Yeah,
Those are your...
okay. I think here now it should be duty to guarantee against latent defects. Yeah, because he did not.
Exactly.
He did not inform the other
Exactly.
one if the brakes were working or not. Yeah.
Exactly. 100%. So he bought the bike. When he bought the bike, when he agreed on Monday to buy the bike, the brakes were already not working. The brakes didn't suddenly go into disrepair between Monday and Friday. When he bought it, they were not working. So make it two separate sentences. He can claim damages for a latent defect. But the fact that he can claim damages for a latent defect has got nothing to do whether she kept it safe or it was parked outside or whatever. So are you with me? The point I'm trying to make is these are separate duties. Read your facts and decide which duty is the correct one. And don't mix the rules of the one with the rules of the other one. Are you with me, George?
Yes, I'm with you, man.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously that sentence, when I put that sentence up without giving you the facts, you can't say which one is it. You can only know which one it is if you have the actual facts in front of you. Otherwise, eeny, meeny, miny, mode could be either. Okay, so read your questions carefully, George and everybody else, and decide for yourself what legal concept is being discussed here. Which duty? Because now you've studied, so you know the duties. Which duty does it refer to? Because I will not, in the same question, mix them up. If I really, but I won't, if I really want to confuse you, which I don't, but if I really want to confuse you, I can say, okay, Marilyn sold the bike to Mitchell. Mitchell had to collect it on Friday. On Thursday, it was damaged in the rain. And on Saturday, after he collected it, he realized that in addition to it being damaged by the rain, the brakes also do not work. Then you've got both of them in one case study. But I'm not going to do that with you, I promise you. I won't mix them up in one question. Okay. Any other questions? Apollonia is happy. She's going to study hard and be ready to go. Mitchell's hand is up.
Evening, ma'am.
Yes, Mitchell.
I don't really understand the supervening impossibility of performance.
Supervening impossibility of performance.
Yeah. Can you please explain to me that part?
I want to just find my notes.
Okay.
There are 5 requirements for a contract to be valid. One of these requirements is that performance must be possible. Let's elaborate on my notes here. 5 requirements for a valid contract. One of them is performance must be possible. If performance is not possible, if performance is objectively impossible, which means nobody in the world can do this, that requirement has not been met and the contract is void. There isn't a contract. The difference between objective impossibility of performance and supervening impossibility of performance lies in when does performance become impossible. If at the time of contracting it's impossible, that requirement has not been met and there is no contract. If, however, you have a valid contract, and remember, I've stressed this, a valid contract doesn't suddenly go void. If it's valid, it's valid, it's valid, it's valid, and it remains valid. It doesn't magically, poof, become void. So now you have a valid contract. But before you could perform, that performance becomes impossible. Contract remains valid, but it terminates. That is the difference between objective impossibility and supervening impossibility. It relates to when does this impossibility occur. If at the time of contracting it was already impossible, your contract is void. Mining diamonds on the moon, contract is void. Supervening impossibility of performance, I rent a room to you, but before you can move in, the house burns down. Our contract comes to an end, it terminates. Are you with me, Mitchell?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Do you understand it now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Any further last questions before we sign off for the day? Benjamin?
Yes, it's about these notes. Ma'am, you said you're going to post them. Where are you going to post them again? Is it on e-learning or Teams?
Which notes?
These ones now on the screen.
I'll share them on the group and I'll put them on e-learning. I do not, you can remember this for future reference. Never ever ask me this question again. I use Teams only for teaching.
Oh, okay.
I do not use Teams for communicating. Don't message me on Teams and expect to get a reply because you won't.
Okay.
Teams is for teaching. Anything else? Sharing of information, notes, extra study material, announcements, etc., either the WhatsApp group or e-learning or both.
Okay, madam.
Okay.
Thanks.
So Teams only, because very often there are a lot of students. My reasoning behind this, Benjamin, is there are a lot of students that are not on Teams, that join the classes and I let them into the class, but they cannot get into the team or whatever randomly on a Wednesday or on a Thursday or whatever. That's why I share my lectures on YouTube, so that students that aren't on Teams can still access my lectures, the recordings. Everybody is on e-learning.
Yes.
Everybody can get all the information, not just the students that happen to be on the team. So
No.
everything on e-learning and also alternatively on our WhatsApp group.
Okay, madam.
Okay, so that's all I have to say for you. There will not be a class on Monday. Monday, because you're writing on Wednesday, use Monday's class time to study. Gives you some extra studying time. I'm not going to have a class on Monday. Between now and the test, I am available on the WhatsApp group. If you come across something in the notes, you have a question, something you don't understand, ask me on the WhatsApp group. So Mitchell, just to use you as an example now, if you're studying and you're suddenly not sure about supervening impossibility of performance, ask me on the group, ma'am, please explain supervening impossibility of performance. And I will either type it out or answer by way of a voice note. But on the group, no personal, no private messages, please. If it's work related, on the group, so that if Mitchell has a question and I've answered her, Apollonia and Marilyn and Magdalena and George and anybody else can also share. Okay. Have a wonderful evening further. I hope the rain isn't too much. I hope your roofs don't leak. Mine does. I had to run around with towels today, putting towels on the floor because I had water streaming down the walls. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you then face to face on Wednesday evening in the test venue. Bye.
Bye, madam.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Pleasure,
Good night.
Lakia. Bye.